Hello all, this is my review of the game Velvet Assassin by Replay Studios and Southpeak Games. This game was released in 2009. I got it by purchasing it through Steam. I never actually played the game till long after I bought it. I decided to do a let's play of it. I enjoyed it and finished the game on the average difficulty setting. To do so, it took me about 10.5 to 11 hours of game, including cutscenes. Now that I have played it through, if I were going to play it again, I think it is safe to say I could save off a few hours. Story. Story and game character is based on a real person during the Second World War and her actions. Of course, the specifics of the missions and the gameplay are not exactly historical accurate. This is a game. It's an interesting story, especially if you enjoy the time period for your entertainment. As usual, I'm not going to get into any details, because I consider the story in a game one of the parts that need to remain completely spoiler free. The story is good enough, it's not going to make you feel bored. It's an appropriate story for a stealth action game. Graphics. The graphics in the game are typical next generation Unreal Engine 3 level of quality. In 2012 they are not going to wow you, but they are very pleasant to the eyes. The game has a very dark color scheme, with the only bright tones coming from either the white of some lights or the occasional orange from the vegetation on some maps. It's very dark, very cold looking, and definitely not one to be confused as a Nintendo game. There is some repetition of textures, but nothing too bad. More work could be done with the lower part of the character you control. You get to spend a lot of time crouching, and you get to see the back of your character extensively. It would have been nice if it was more realistic looking, more polygons and all that. Sound. The sound effects are very good for the most part. The walking effects, weapons, voices, environmental noises, all are very satisfying. There is plenty of repetition of dialogue among the enemy troops, but that is hardly something this game alone is guilty of. There were a couple of cases where the sound volume was off, but I could potentially blame that on sound drivers. No way to know if it wasn't the case. Either way, any sound issues were too few and too short to pose any problem. Music. I had to turn off the music for the Let's Play videos, and don't have any opinion on it. Controls. GUI. The movement of the character is done with the keyboard and the aim look with the mouse. The character in Control was most of the time doing what I wanted her to do when I wanted her to do it. The interaction with the environment was most of the time normal and without issues. Unfortunately, by most I mean not always. There were cases when there was a delay in reaction. There were also cases where the character would simply not do what I wanted her to do at all. In some of them, it proved painful for my character. The GUI when you access the menu for the inventory or to check the map worked fine, but it was only keyboard controlled. A mouse option could prove very helpful. It's a shame there was no such option. Gameplay. The game is split in sections missions, each of which contains at least one or two or more checkpoints where the game automatically saves your progress. It's not possible to save whenever you want. It wasn't an issue for me, although at some points I wish there were more of them to make the process of the Let's Play videos easier to manage. On each mission you have one or more main goals you need to complete to finish the mission. Each mission is linear, although how exactly you deal with the enemy troops is for the most part up to you. There is limited amount of ammo for any weapon you might get or find locked in the game world for each mission. Still, if you are careful with the ammo and don't go commando, you should be able to have plenty of gunplay for most of the missions. That said, the best way many times would be, or at least it feels like it is, to kill the enemy with your trusty knife. It's a one-hit kill as long as you do it in a stealth way and not get discovered while approaching the enemy. When using a handgun, it's a one-shot kill when you hit the head, more if you don't. You can also find a few other weapons in the game, but once more, if you're looking for a shooter, this is not it. Each mission area is composed of several compartments, usually in the shape of rooms or corridors, other times courtyards, and so on. In some of the rooms of each compartment, you have enemy troops patrolling or guarding, and it is up to you to either go around them if you can find a way, or take them out if you have to or simply want to do so. Apart from the weapons I mentioned earlier, you have one more help, that of shadows and high vegetation. As long as the enemy is not very near you and facing you, or has already discovered you, you can easily hide in the shadows or high vegetation till it is the right time to come out. There are also a couple of very light puzzle elements in the game, where for example you have to push a crate to make room for you to pass. They are only a handful and they do not pose any problem. The enemy AI is pretty stupid, but it does its job. If you are detected, you're probably dead, unless you get very good at the game. I'm pretty sure the AI cheats when shooting, since it seems to never miss a shot. The patrol routes and guard posts are very rigid and do not change unless they detect the player. It's not a negative point for the game, but it should be noted. Conclusion. I had fun playing the game. I'm not a big fan of stealth games, but I had no problem wanting to play this to the end. If you like stealth games, this is worth a look, especially at the price it is sold now, as it isn't a brand new release. Grade: conditional, worth buying. Thank you for watching this video review.